In a quiet corner of Wat Ban Rai Temple, there is an old plastic chair, its color faded by time, worn thin by rain and sun. People never moved it away. No one replaced it with a new chair. It simply remains there, empty, silent, as if quietly waiting for someone to sit down again. But the one who used to sit there is no longer here. Perhaps in each of our lives, there has been someone like that, someone who quietly walked through our days, leaving behind a space no one else can fill, and departing without a single word of farewell. That old plastic chair was where Venerable Luang Pho Koon often sat when teaching Dhamma to the villagers. Not a golden throne, not an elaborate seat on a high platform, just a simple plastic chair, the kind you could find at any roadside stall or neighborhood shop. And yet, after the revered monk passed away, no one had the heart to remove it, because deep down they all understood it wasn't the chair that mattered. It was the person who once sat there. We often think about what to leave behind in this life. A name, a legacy, a relic, a monument that people will remember us by when we're gone. But there are some who choose to leave nothing at all. No golden statues, no incorruptible body preserved in glass, not even a tomb. There are some who give away even their final remains so their body can become a lesson for the next generation. Is it possible that giving away everything is actually the way to remain forever? Today I'd like to share with you the story of such a person. A revered monk who chose to let go completely, not just of possessions, not just of fame or titles, but even of his own body as his final act of generosity. This is the story of Venerable Luang Pho Koon, a humble teacher who left behind a lesson in letting go and an old plastic chair, still resting quietly in the temple courtyard. Some stories people keep telling over and over through the years, not to make them grander, not to hold on to every detail, just because if we stop telling them, it feels like something precious will quietly disappear. In Ban Rai village, people still talk about Venerable Luang Pho Koon that way. They don't need books or records. They just pass the stories on from one person to another with respect and with a kind of gentle remembering. I'm just someone who has listened to these stories, and today I'll share them with you. Not to argue about what's true or false, not to dissect every fact, but simply to hold on to something, a glimpse of a person who lived his life by giving and left quietly by letting go. So let me begin. People in Ban Rai often say there are those who accomplish great things, but never need to stand in high places. Venerable Luang Pho Koon was one of those people. He didn't live in temples of gold. He didn't sit behind grand gates. Just a humble monk, barefoot, wearing robes faded by time, sweeping the courtyard in the morning, chewing betel in the afternoon, meditating quietly at night. They say that when he was young, he was just like every other village child, running in the fields, playing in the rain, muddy feet and bright eyes. When he grew up, he chose the monkhood, not to escape suffering, but to understand it more deeply. Some still remember his words. Becoming a monk is not about running away from life. It's about learning how to live in a way that doesn't make life heavier for others. There's a story people in Ban Rai still tell, again and again as if it happened just yesterday. One day a man came from far away. His pockets full of money, he asked for a powerful protective amulet. They say the man believed, like many others, that the monk's amulets were special, magical even. But Venerable Luang Pho Koon didn't answer right away. He quietly reached into his robe and pulled out an old coin, its surface darkened with age. Then he picked up a small walking stick, its handle smooth and worn down from years of use. He looked at the man, with eyes as gentle as the evening sky, and said softly, "If your heart is straight and true, even this old coin will protect you. But if your heart is crooked, no amulet in the world will help." The man stood there silent, with nothing more to say. People in the village still whisper that lesson to each other. Coins, amulets, charms, they're all just forms. The greatest protection is still an honest heart. There's another story people like to tell. One time, someone invited the revered monk to the city. They set up a grand meal, fragrant rice, polished bowls, the finest dishes. But Venerable Luang Pho Koon quietly declined. Instead, he chose to sit on a worn-out mat with the villagers, eating sticky rice, boiled vegetables, and chili salt. Someone asked him why, and he smiled with the kind of warmth only someone who truly understands life can give. In this life, it's important to remember where you came from. Wealth or poverty are just temporary roles we play. What matters is whether your heart still sees the person in front of you as a fellow traveler on the same path. People still retell that story because sometimes even sharing a simple meal can be a kind of practice. Not a practice of the mouth, but a practice of the heart. There's another story too. At one point, the monk's amulets became so famous that people started buying and selling them like goods in the market. Some even came bragging about how much profit they'd made. The revered monk smiled, as he often did. But one day, during a Dhamma talk, he spoke softly, yet his words cut deep. If you turn the Dhamma into merchandise, don't be surprised when you yourself become merchandise. After that, he asked his disciples to limit the distribution of amulets. He reminded everyone, the greatest charm is still keeping your own heart honest, and that was enough. People remembered. There's also the story of how Venerable Luang Pho Koon prepared for his own passing. They say he knew when his time would come, not because of mystical powers, but because he had lived long enough, practiced deeply enough to see the circle of life and death clearly. Long before he passed away, he quietly arranged to donate his body to Khon Kaen University. He told his disciples, "Don't keep my bones. Don't build a stupa for me. Don't make a statue. I don't need those things. This body, let it become a lesson. Let the students learn impermanence by holding it in their own hands." People still whisper this story under the trees while drinking tea in the afternoon, not to worship him, just to remember what letting go really means. Some say if you visit Wat Ban Rai today, you'll still find an old plastic chair sitting quietly in the corner of the temple courtyard. The chair isn't fancy. Its color has faded. One of its legs is cracked. At some point, someone thought about replacing it. But then people said, leave it there, keep it just as it is, because that chair is not just a chair anymore. It's a reminder that the one who used to sit there chose to sit low to the ground so that his words wouldn't float above people's heads, but stay at eye level, right where ordinary folks could hear. I tell these stories not to glorify, not to make statues out of memory, just to keep something alive of a person who lived by giving and left by giving too. Maybe immortality isn't about keeping the body or building golden monuments. Maybe it's about leaving behind small stories, the kind that people still whisper beside an old chair, about a worn-out coin, or during a quiet afternoon under the eaves. In life, some people choose to hold on. Some choose to let go. There are those who leave their body behind, and through some quiet miracle, their body remains untouched by decay, becoming an incorruptible relic, a lesson left for future generations about the beauty of mindful living, about the mystery of existence. Others choose to leave statues cast in bronze, to build stone monuments, to erect stupas, as ways of preserving memory for those who come after. And all of that is a form of respect in itself. A beautiful way to honor a life well lived. Each choice has its own meaning. Each path has its own place in the world. There is no higher or lower, just different ways of walking the same road. But some choose to give everything away until there is nothing left. Venerable Luang Pho Koon was one of those people. He left no statues, no stupas, no incorruptible body sealed in glass, no relics to be worshipped, only a simple written will prepared long before his passing. In it, he asked that when the time came, his body be given to medical students so they could study with their own hands what impermanence truly feels like. Some people wondered, why would a monk so beloved so well respected, not leave his body behind for people to venerate? But if you truly understood him, the answer would come gently, almost like a breeze. This body is not really ours. Living is borrowing. Dying is returning. He didn't want anything left for himself. No monument for pilgrims to circle. No statue for people to bow before. All he left was an old plastic chair in the courtyard of Wat Bun Rai. That was where he used to sit, teaching, laughing, sharing simple meals of sticky rice with villagers. Now the chair remains empty. And yet they still keep it there, as if holding space for someone who has quietly gone beyond. When the students had finished their studies, there was no ceremony to preserve his remains. No relics, no golden cases or glass boxes. Everything was released into the Mekong River. A body returned to the earth, and every last attachment set adrift on the river's gentle current. I often think of that image, a river that keeps flowing no matter how hard you try to hold on to the water. Moments slip through your hands. Life moves forward. Like that simple meal he once shared with the villagers, whether it tasted good or not, whether the stomach was full or empty, it all passed. What remains is how we sat together in that moment. Some choose to let their body remain as a symbol of something greater. Some choose to let their body keep helping others, becoming part of the living lesson of impermanence. And some choose to drift away quietly, like a leaf falling onto the surface of a river, not disturbing anyone, not asking to be remembered, just hoping what remains is something soft, something light, something that leaves no burden behind. Maybe the most beautiful way to stay in this world is to no longer be here, but still live on in memory through an old plastic chair, an old coin, and a river that keeps flowing into the great sea. Or perhaps, sometimes all that's left is silence in someone's heart. At some point in life, we'll sit down, look around, and realize everyone will eventually leave. Not just leaving this world, but leaving each other's eyes, leaving each other's memory, leaving the stories that you and I, or anyone else, are still telling about one another today. Some lessons don't need to be taught. They don't need to be written in books. They just need to be lived. And when that person is gone, only then do we truly understand. People often ask, what is the greatest lesson someone can leave behind? Is it a single saying, a grand philosophy, or an action that the world will remember? With Venerable Luang Pho Koon, perhaps his greatest lesson was simply the way he lived. Living simply, living generously, living lightly, and leaving just as lightly. He left no body for future generations to venerate. He built no stupa for people to remember his name. He only left his way of living, quiet, yet enough to make others pause and look inward. If there's one thing left after this story, perhaps it's a single question. When I leave, what will I leave behind? Sometimes we're still sitting next to someone, but our hearts have already drifted apart. Sometimes we're still alive, still breathing, but the image of us in someone else's heart has already faded long ago. Life is often like a cold meal. When it's warm, it's fragrant and comforting. But once it's passed, what lingers isn't the taste, but the memory of having sat together for a little while. Maybe that's enough. The river keeps flowing, whether or not we're ready to let go. People we once loved will drift away. Things we once thought were important will dissolve. No one carries anything with them to the end. The only thing we can leave behind is the feeling of ease when others think of us. Not a monument, not a mark. Just a little space left behind for someone else to sit down, exhale, and smile. The night sky is deep now, but hearts are still restless. Some stories don't need an ending. They just leave a quiet space in life, waiting for someone with the right karma to find their own answer.